Have you ever wondered why your overall ecotourism experience is starkly different from someone who went to the same jungle? And I'm not just talking in terms of wildlife sightings. That depends on a number of factors, including but not limited to impact of specific seasons on animal behavior, recent movement and migration patterns, the kind of safari you choose, allotted vehicles and safari zones, knowledge and involvement of the naturalist or guide who is accompanying you, most importantly, your own interest, effort, knowledge and mindset, and of course, a highly unpredictable chance factor. All of them often clubbed under one umbrella by onlookers as luck by chance, as if you're in some Joy Akhtar's movie. Let's assume you are a serious wildlife enthusiast who does all this research, and still, certain things you can only know better with experience. For example, you may not totally understand the hegemony of Jungle Lodges properties when it comes to safari in South India. It's not very out in the open fact. It sank in when I got to do safari in Kabini with none other than wildlife filmmaker, big cat specialist and owner of the Bison Kabini, Mr. Shad Jung, and he had to take us in a bus because jeep, well, that's only for Jungle Lodges guests and Nat Geo photographers. Now what's the problem with that? Well, only jeeps can get inside certain tracks. Bus makes a lot more noises and hence drives wildlife away to a large extent. Before staying at Bison, I thought I was only choosing ill-fitting properties who couldn't arrange proper safari experience for me down south. It took me several years of visits inside the core and buffer areas to gain the kind of experience I'll be sharing with you here. Because here, if you try to book safari online, you will get a raw deal on spot, leading to so many poor TripAdvisor reviews about the place. Nobody is denying how beautiful the forest is, but why most of the visitors are aggrieved about their safari experience here? Some of them end up paying premium charges to a wildlife tour organizer in the hope that the burden of having best experience is off their shoulder now, which is seldom the case. Look, Indian wildlife tourism scene is not for beginners or overnight enthusiasts bitten by tiger bug and drone shots of some fancy-looking property based on Instagram posts, period. Attracted by the allure of seeing megafauna in the wild, or even out of genuine curiosity or just to feel one with nature and relax, when we nurse a desire to book a hotel, resort or homestay near a specific national park, most of us check the amenities, but we don't get to know the harsh reality of wildlife tourism in most places. So I want to start with a very important consideration. Ask your why before coming to a jungle. What's the purpose of your visit? Because that's ultimately going to decide your place of stay and eventually your experience. Let me be very clear. Your accommodation, of course, won't decide your wildlife sightings. For example, if you are visiting forest with family or friends, like a weekend getaway, and none of you are seriously into wildlife, but just want to experience safari because why not? Let's try out our luck. Then you shall choose your stay based on the experience you are looking for inside the property. Alternatively, if you are looking for an inexpensive outing, you can stay at a modest place close to the national park gate. And even if you ventured inside the jungle in a huge bus with no prior preparation, along with a noisy crowd, you may still end up having a great sighting on a good day. Here, the highly unpredictable chance factor is at interplay. But if wildlife sightings are your driving factor, you are deeply fascinated by the natural world, then you ought to choose timing and property that facilitate that opportunity the highest. Either which way, when you visit a national park, you contribute to the tremendous generation of economy and employment, boosting conservation indirectly. The sweet and harmonic call of Indian silverbill or white-throated munia greeted me in this dry, open woodland. Usually they are found in large groups, but perhaps this one was seeking for some solitude like me. Now, if ecotourism is your choice, nature activities like bird trail, mountain bike and bullock cart rides are your interest, and of course, premium pricing is not a deterrent, why not Serai? I have been here before, and after recently staying at Jungle Lodges, I know both why and why not. Since the last 2 decades, almost every year I have been to some forest or other, and oddly enough, this motivates me in my job as this is an experience behind which I invest my hard-earned money as a nature and wildlife lover and photographer. In case you are a hardcore wildlife enthusiast like me and you are not going to the jungle for a therapeutic spa retreat, then JLR is your best bet here, and I will tell you why. Before I start sharing my opinion and all requisite details about this place, let me tell you that I am not a professional vacation property reviewer, and so the information I am sharing with you is totally based on traveler's account, my personal experience, so to speak. And so while I will try to maintain utmost objectivity, if you are one of those wildlife enthusiasts who becomes heavily dejected at the absence of big cat sightings, perhaps the place of your stay won't make any difference. Ultimately, our experience is largely decided by our mindset. That's why I'll be careful about my enthusiasm because I love being around forest and nature in general. And then big cats abundantly blessed me this time during my 6 safaris here, on which I will share videos. The first thing that struck me upon entering here is, as you can see, right inside the premise I got some decent birding opportunity. Surrounded by nature, even if you skip safari, here you will get a sense of expanded time. I am aware of the unabashed adventure of staying in forest guest houses like Harini, where an elephant may easily tear through the ordinary iron mesh, or you may flash light on straying leopard's eyes to capture video at night, like I have seen some tourists and YouTubers doing. But wildlife is no cheap thrill for me. It took me many years to discern how the safari experience of North and Central Indian locations are essentially different from that of South Indian forest because I could never find all updated details in one source, and this video is my attempt to offer that for you. No JLR stay, no proper 3-hour jeep safari is guaranteed here. Period. Doesn't matter even if you stay at almost 3 times costlier and way more luxurious the Serai or enjoy the pure indulgence at the Windflower Tusker Trails, which is competitively priced with JLR, or amusingly enough, even at Karnataka Government Forest Guest House. I will discuss this conundrum in details later in this video. When I first crossed this stretch several years ago, I had a sensational experience of seeing how an elephant undergoing domestication process was almost about to topple one car. We were far away from this blue car, and yet my driver, I remember, was sweating in tension and praying because in case any damage happened to the car, he had to pay to the owner apparently. And I thought he was concerned about his life. Talk about how money controls our life yet never can give us happiness, even though without money you cannot even enjoy nature at its best, which in itself is wild and free. This highway has undergone radical changes since then. Let's see how. Oh, I forgot to tell you where I was. 5 clues. Number 1, I am sitting at a strange looking cafe coffee near highway and going to a place which hosts a number of iconic species and spans across both Western Ghats as well as Deccan Plateau. 2. Both barking deer and mouse deer can be spotted in that landscape. 3rd, this place provides a remarkable opportunity to spot black-necked hare in daytime. 4th, a villager named Ratnamma was killed last year here by a male tiger of 10 years old, identified as UG2371, and a huge combing operations involving 200 forest personnel were performed here, and ultimately the tiger was darted away and captured. And the 5th and final giveaway clue. The former late Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi, has launched Project Tiger in 1973 from this place. An important component of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, Bandipur has an elevation range of 2,230 feet to 4,770 feet. Because of such elevations, the park has a diverse range of biomes, such as dry deciduous forest, moist deciduous forest, and shrublands. A Lonely Planet article states that Bandipur isn't the best place for animal sighting due to the busy Mysore-Ooty highway that runs through the forest. While highway through a forest is never a good idea, but I have crossed this stretch at least 20 times and I beg to differ. Unfortunately, animals got used to the vehicles, and in fact one of the tiger sightings happened for me right next to the highway. But one cannot expect great sighting if only crosses the highway and doesn't venture inside the forest. The new access-controlled 11-lane 119-kilometer expressway between Bangalore and Mysore, built at a cost of 8,480 crore, now reduces the travel time drastically. However, I started my journey from Bangalore a little before 6 am, even though the check-in was at 1 pm at Jungle Lodges and Resorts because I had plans to make multiple stops on the way. Of course, if you are traveling from outside of Bangalore, your best bet is to arrive at the Kempegowda International Airport and you can pre-book a cab from there. If you are traveling from Bangalore, the cheapest option to reach Bandipur is to book a bus. If you want to travel via train, then you will have to embark on a train to Mysore and then opt for a bus or book a cab from there to the national park, as Bandipur does not have a station. While the road condition is a driver's delight, many restaurant businesses in the Mysore road are incurring heavy losses as the exits from expressway are 8 to 10 km apart. Many arts and crafts emporium in Channapatna suffered a big blow to their businesses when they were recovering from the impact of the pandemic due to this expressway. Also, you won't get those frequent roadside tea stalls anymore. So I carried my tea from home, but then I took an exit from the expressway to pay my ritualistic visit to Cafe Coffee Day in Mandya. This is the exact place where a tiger had strayed into a village few years ago in the Gopalaswamy Betta range of the Bandipur Reserve and killed a dozen cattle and 2 men, causing panic all around. In a comprehensive study done on the matter over a period of 3 years, from 2004 to 2007, the Wildlife Conservation Foundation came up with mind-numbing data on roadkills, a staggering 89 mammals, including an elephant and a tiger, 73 birds, and 53 snakes had been done to death by speeding vehicles on this route. This data helped Karnataka to take up the matter legally and impose a ban on night traffic on the road between 9 pm and 6 am. So yes, no vehicles including safari jeeps can access the forest road at night. The highway, an arterial route for economic activities of the towns of Sultan Batheri in Kerala and Gundlupet in Karnataka on the National Highway 766, which goes through Mysore, Uti, Wayanad and Kozhikode, and the lifeline of people on either side of the border, has been a bone of contention between the two states as well as conservationists and traders for long, because this place includes several PAs or protected areas of 3 southern states. And it's not just about roadkills, there are ecological impacts too. I have already discussed in the leopard attack video what may happen if one crosses forest fringes on two-wheeler without any protection. In any case, the animal always ends up being victimized. It's heartbreaking to see such sights, and this is the latest available data. Even this year, an elephant named Thanir Komban, who caused panic in Kerala's Wayanad district, died a month before my visit here after being tranquilized and relocated to Bandipur. Relocation, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, often causes more harm. Parking such serious thoughts for now because a bright sunflower field was there to brighten my mood. If you want to know more about it and where it's located, the video link is provided at the end. I timed the stops well and the driver has done a good job too to make me check in exactly at 1:10 pm in JLR. Couldn't delay more as I didn't want to miss the afternoon safari. If you are taking your driver here, JLR arranges their stay and food at no additional cost and there is designated parking spot, so no hassle. Especially if you got plans to explore the highway on your own beyond the safari, it's good to have a car here as no auto or other vehicles are available. Now Bandipur JLR has 3 packages available and I have opted for the special Maharaja Cottage, the best option available here. The room was spacious and clean. Nothing high-end, but the balcony was charming and I spent most of my time here when I was not out for safari. very peaceful. Whole day you can, hear bird songs and just complete tranquility. Now you might spot few cobwebs in the balcony, but it's their home and the thickly wooded rustic setting makes it altogether more natural. By the way, tariffs are dynamic and varies according to the season and demand. The tariff includes jeep safari cost as well. So suppose if you plan to visit Bandipur and don't intend to do jeep safari or that's not your top agenda, then no point staying here because according to the current policy, the charge will remain the same whether you go for safari or not. 2 safaris per day is included in the tariff and that doesn't change if you say decide to go for only one jeep safari. This seems rather unfair but I can understand the logic as guests also change their mind often and then they might lose out. The rooms are smaller without a private balcony in the Viceroy package here. Rest are pretty much the same. Other than safari, breakfast, lunch and dinner are included in the tariff as well. And those who have been in JLR property before, you know they famously call the dining area Golghar, where I was going for my lunch because exactly at 2:45 p.m. every day, we were all supposed to assemble at the conference room for the vehicle allocation. So the day of your check-in, you naturally have time only for the afternoon safari. Food spread was typical South Indian fare and it's not the same items every day. While the food didn't appeal to my taste bud, but it was totally ideal for this weather, more so when you are going to be out for a long time under the sun and there's possibility of dehydration. Basically, if you like South Indian food, you will have no issues whatsoever. Foreigners may get very little options though. There's no alcohol served either, except beer, and one is not allowed to consume alcohol anyway while going for safari or any time in the public and common areas. I heard Vivid Arts food is much better, but I have no personal experience. Wonder whether tigers exchange notes similarly, that I heard this side of the water body has much better food options. The premise of JLR is pretty big, full with timber and bamboo trees, ornamental and medicinal herbs, occasionally visited by birds, butterflies, and monkeys. Whenever I stepped out in daytime, I spotted common tiger butterfly here. Campfire barbecue dinner happens at winter, and that's a fun aspect one misses while visiting forest in summer. Surprisingly, I haven't seen any swimming pool, and I'm not sure whether JLR has one. Surprising because all properties in similar price range has pool. There's no massage or wellness center in JLR either. I guess they consider this environment itself as a natural wellness refuge, which it is, but then it's also a business strategy perhaps, because idleness and safari don't sit well, and JLR's target group is mostly wildlife photographers, and that's why other resorts focused more on comfort and activities other than safari. Let me show you a very strange nest. It's lunch time, so everybody is going towards Golghar. It's a huge place actually. You must have seen in city, they burn all these dry leaves. Sometimes they burn alongside some garbage also. It's extremely harmful because the complete different ecosystems underneath are created, which we cannot see. The insects actually, they maintain the stability of the soil. And by burning, we actually create a huge amount of pollution. So yes, it's just walking inside this place itself will give you a lot of peace. It's full with greenery and very nice. This I think I have shown already Ceylon tea plant. I think they should work on their website, because from the website it is not very apparent that this property is so huge. This is people tree. When I say reporting time, you don't have to go anywhere outside and need to assemble in the conference room inside JLR, where tea, coffee will be served before safari and jeep will be assigned. Unfortunately, safaris are not customizable here. So unless you are a Nat Geo photographer or a big shot in this field running a travel and photography company like Dhole, or an influential government official, you will not get separate jeep like I arranged for myself in Kaziranga. Basically, you will get a shared jeep, and that's why I didn't go anywhere else, because I needed to make sure at least I get the preferred seat. By the way, even if you come here through Dhole's customized trip or from some other company, you will get shared jeep only. Only the heads of such institutions who basically visit regularly and spends months at a stretch inside for great footage can manage separate jeep. I don't like to do safari in shared jeep, but I was aware of it that this was the best I could get. As mentioned, I will share all 6 Bandipur Safari experience in future videos, but if you don't want to wait, you can watch Kaziranga Safari videos from my channel if you are new here, and more videos of my Kaziranga experience too will be shared in future. Once you are back from afternoon safari, you will be greeted in JLR's Pagmak restaurant with tea, coffee and snacks as usual, which some people were calling high tea for no reason. There's a souvenir shop inside which I didn't find interesting, but in case you forget to bring your hat or want to buy safari jacket, you may find it somewhat useful. Photographers should bring all gears and lenses including all chargers though, as you won't get anything here. By the way, if your camera gear is premium or lens is beyond 200 mm, then Forest Department will charge you extra for each entry, which you have to pay at JLR during final settlement. And this is not mentioned in JLR website. So email or talk to them about your gears before trip and ask for estimate. So I finally figured out why my cottage is named after a bird when most of the cottages are, named like chital, leopard. See. It's a nest here actually. If chilling out amidst nature is your priority and you don't care about wildlife sightings much, then in the similar price range you can find multiple better options for stay. If you are looking for pet-friendly property in Bandipur, go for the Mangifera. I would recommend to not take pets in forest though for obvious reasons. There's leopards here and then forget about getting vets in such desolated place during medical emergency. Now these are all pretty expensive options and the cheapest adventure is provided by the forest cottages. But then they are rather in a poor state with little maintenance. Yes, they are inside the forest and so there's high chance of wildlife sighting including big cats right from your room. But personally that's not worth enough trade-off for me to tolerate stained wall, unclean washroom and fetid blankets in vacation. Also, a solo traveler and even otherwise I am mindful about safety. And let's say it like it is, wildlife trips are not light on pocket if you are looking for overall quality experience. Unless you visit a place for one night like a weekend trip and come back with 2 safaris, which is absolutely fine, but I prefer to stay longer as I'm keen to get inside the jungle a couple of times at least. The problem with most Indian forests is the lack of solid mid-range options which can be more affordable for a wider group of travelers who want to enjoy nature and wildlife intimately without a bad taste in mouth. Look, a place by itself is seldom good or bad. It's just the people who make it so. I just now came back from Golghar after having my lunch and shortly have to get ready for my 5th safari. Now, a guy who is should not be more than 30 suddenly came. There's a lot of crowd here and most of the tables are occupied and perhaps he didn't get any place to sit, so he has to sit in front of me since I am sitting alone. But what is the basic courtesy is to ask right once that when you are sitting just right opposite to somebody. He just came with his food and everything and just sat in front of me. Kind of okay though, because as long as you're okay with, the problem is if I'm too much engrossed in eating, I might just take something from your plate and I won't get it. And it may not register with me. As long as you're okay with dealing with it, it's okay. But it's just that certain things are not okay. You know what I mean, right? I do not see. We always try to kind of, say that I do not want to judge. But the fact of the matter is that we are continuously judging. Our human brain is maneuvered in such a way that even before we realize that we are judging, we continuously judge because we observe. And I tell myself that I do not want to be judgmental. The fact that I'm telling myself that I do not want to be judgmental, it means the judgment is already formed. And that's pretty much, instinctual thing. So that's why, all this property review and stuff like that, see, it's very fluid and, very, very subjective. Because sometimes just completely an outsider can spoil something, right? So everybody's experience of a place will never be the same. So whatever I am saying, I would request you to take with pinch or dollops of salt according to your preference, so that you basically get to experience on your own, right? Because your experience might be vastly different. In the evening, an exhausted part of me reminds myself that I have to upkeep all gears and keep them fully charged for the next day's shoot. Another part of me wants to say, like Mary Oliver, I don't really want to be witnessed talking to the birds or hugging the old black oak tree. I have my own way of praying, as you no doubt have yours. Unless you have the luxury of time, a real wildlife trip is seldom a vacation, as your senses can never go asleep in the maddening buzz of other life forms fighting hard to survive with us in a burning planet. And then, if I don't keep everything ready in the evening for the next day, who will tell you the story of what JLR guide mentioned as the longest leopard sighting in his experience?